Welcome to the Ordinary Marathoner Podcast.
Hello and welcome to the Ordinary Marathoner Podcast. My name is Coach Scott. I'll be your host today. It is Wednesday, September 30th. We are rounding out the month of September. Hope you guys had a good month. Obviously, it's craziness just with the COVID, with the election. There's all this stuff going on. I got to tell you, I had a pretty good month. I'm happy. I'm happy with this month. I've trained well. Net, I've lost some weight. To start out with, we'll talk about this, was at the beginning of the month, well, really, I guess it was the end of last month, Matt Shore had talked me into doing this cycling challenge. I had a goal to do 400 miles on the bike. This morning, after this morning's workout, I went over 400 miles. I believe I'm at like 421 for the month, something like that. And in addition to that 421, man, I think we're about 31 to 32,000 feet of elevation, which, you know, I know some of you guys in the cycling were like, oh, well, Everesting is 28,000 feet and people do that in one day. Well, I'm happy to do 32,000 feet in a month. And I think that's, I'm happy to get my 400 miles. We've been working really hard on the bike the last 6 weeks, but certainly the last month especially, and getting things done. And it feels really good. Now, let's talk about it. Because we finished our 6-week FTP program last Friday. That was it. The 6 weeks of getting up early. I think I missed 1 day of training, and it was excusable. I missed 1 day of training that whole week. We did some extra stuff. I climbed Whiteface with Matt Shore. We climbed Mont Ventoux one morning. I think that was Labor Day morning. So we've done a lot of extra work. We've done the 6-week program and then some, is basically what I'm saying. We've done our Thursday night rides every week. We did our Wednesday night cadence drill with USA Triathlon. It's been a good 6 weeks of hard work. And now we want to see the fruits of our labor, right? It's testing time. It was testing time on Monday. We did our FTP test. Now, FTP refresher. Some of you guys are going to be like, what are you talking about? Why are you saying this again? I know what FTP is. FTP, functional threshold power, is in cycling. It's kind of like probably your most popular test, right? So in running, we have the mile. You can test yourself in the mile. You can test yourself in a 5K, whatever that may be. This test is a power test, how many average watts you can push out for an hour. Now, nobody does the full test. Nobody tries to do a full hour and try to push out as many watts as they can. It's really kind of detrimental to training by pushing that much power over that. Unless you're doing a race, it's not advisable to do. So there's all these other testing methods. There's a 20-minute test where they take your average power for 20 minutes and then they attach a factor to that. It's like 90-something percent, 95%, something like that. And then there's the ramp test that we do on Zwift, which is basically every minute it gets harder and harder and harder until you can't go anymore. They take your best average minute and they apply a factor. I think it's 75%, and that is your FTP. Now, I have done that test often over the last year, and it's kind of been my go-to test. It's the one I like the most. It's short. It's sweet. It's, you hit the end and you kind of hit the end. There's a little bit of wiggle room there for added effort. You can go a little bit harder at the end, but you kind of hit that wall and you're done. That's about all you can do. And so I think it's sort of a reliable test in that way. There is an endurance component that I believe is stripped out of it. It's obviously a different mindset. It's a different mindset than the 20-minute test. The 20-minute test, you're like going to go out hard, and you're going to try to hang on as best you can. There's a lot of fortitude in that test. There's a lot of guts in that test. This one, you push as hard as you can, and it's over pretty quickly. It's not a 20-minute hard effort. You start to maybe a 5 to 10 minute window of really forced exertion, and then you hit the wall and you're cooked. Now, historically speaking, I took the test in April and measured a 245 watts. That's what it's measured in. I took the test in May. I was 235. I actually expected to go up a little bit, and I went down. I have been fairly consistent with training over the summer. I've done a lot of training. I felt like I needed to nail down my routine a bit, and thus we started this 6-week 5 a.m. ride. And we've been really consistent with it. And we've done the program pretty religiously. So it's been nice. And I kind of want, now it's time to see the fruits of your labor. And Monday night was the night to do it. Now, also historically speaking, I mean, my FTP, when I started cycling, just for a point of reference, in 2016, my FTP was about 180 to 190. In 2017, a year later, after training on my own, it got to about 195 to 200. And then when I got on Zwift and I started riding a lot more and I started actually training and being focused on the bike, my power jumped into like the 230s, 240s where it is today. It's been like that for a while, and I kind of want another hiccup here. I want to push forward. I want that jump. I want that spike. And I was kind of hoping this 6-week program would be that way to do it. So, we tested on Monday and we got up, we did our morning ride on Monday. I kind of did it nice and easy. And then on Monday night, Monday during the day, I must add that I did go for like a 3-mile walk with Ellie, pushing her in the stroller. I got home, we ate dinner, we ate a little bit late. And so I was a little bit on the full belly side when I got on that bike for the FTP test. And I hit it pretty hard. I hit it about as hard as I could do in the moment. The result was 233 watts. I wasn't thrilled with it. I wasn't like super upset over it either. I felt, when I was done with the test, I felt like maybe I could do better. I felt like I should have done better. I felt like if the stars were aligned a little bit differently, if I was a little bit better prepared for the actual test, and that moment for the test, I thought I could have done better. And so we're doing it again, and we're doing it again tonight. So Wednesday night, 6:30 p.m. Eastern time. A couple of us are hopefully get on that. If you guys want to get involved, especially some of my Thursday night riders, I didn't invite you guys. But if you want the invite, let me know. I'm open to inviting whoever wants to come, whoever wants to give it a shot. And this is not a time to be proud or nervous or embarrassed about your results. This is testing time. This is a no judgment zone. I promise you that. I judge often. I am an admitted judge on a lot of different things. However, when it comes to testing is important. And this is a no judgment zone. You go and you take that test, you see how you do, and then you improve. And a lot of times it's not how strong you are in the beginning. It's how much improvement you have in the middle. And it's good to get that first test in. Don't be embarrassed. Don't be shy. Don't be nervous. Get that test in. Then you put the work in. And then you get to enjoy the results the next time you take the test. I hope that for me tonight, it's a little bit better than the 233. I feel like I actually went back to my April test and I watched the live stream. And I watched my exertion over the last 1 minute stretch. And I do feel like I struggled and persevered through more pain, back in April than I let myself struggle through Monday night. So I'm going to try to kind of hop on that struggle bus for a little bit longer and stay with it a little bit longer and see how we go. And hopefully, I'm a little bit north of that 233 number that we were at on Monday. We'll see how it goes. Now, some of the other ways that this has been a pretty good month for me. I mean, I started intermittent fasting probably about 4 weeks ago. My weight had gotten up to about 245, which is high. It's not where I want it to be. I would love for it to be south of 220, 200 would be super nice. Even less than that would be really nice, but I'm trying to be realistic. Here. So the first week of intermittent fasting, I was very religious with it. I was very healthy, very at least calorie restrictive, somewhat calorie conscious, I would say. It wasn't like I was eating 800 calories a day. I was probably eating 2,000 calories a day, but I was being very healthy with it. I lost probably about, 5 to 7 pounds that first week. I lost another 3 to 5 the next week. There was a hiccup the following week where, I was doing okay in the beginning and then I had a bad weekend and it spiked up. I did the same thing last week. I had 5 good days, lost some weight, and then had a bad weekend where my diet was off and my training was off and the weight spiked again. And again, it's frustrating and I understand the frustration. Let's talk about it quickly. 5 days of hard work, seeing good results, good diet, good nutrition, good training, good results. 2 bad days erases all 5 good days. frustration, anger, almost the desire to quit. Why bother doing this? I can't even enjoy 2 days out of 7. You got to push that aside. It's frustrating. It's annoying. You got to push that aside. You got to get that focus back. There's only one way to do it. And you know what it is? Because you just did it for 5 days. You just can't screw it up over the 2 days. You got to kind of stay focused. Stay focused and don't overdo it. Unfortunately, I did overdo it a little bit. The good news is that, once you kind of get through that weekend and then you start engaging in training again, and the good habits start coming back, the intra-week habits that have been pretty solid for me, they start coming back. Once that happens, the weight kind of goes back off. I'm back. So I started at 245. I'm now at 237. I think I'm good on a good track. I'm going to have a good weekend coming up. And then we're going to be doing another training plan, I believe, starting next week. Initially that was going to be the training plan that I devised. I got to be honest, it's not devised quite yet. There's a whole devising it part. Hasn't exactly happened, but I'm working on it. I do have a lot of the structure in place. I just have to actually make the workouts. We'll see how that goes. Talking about intermittent fasting, let's talk about it now, because I do want to get into some of the nitty gritty about intermittent fasting. We talked about it a lot on 2 Fridays ago when we had Allison Knott on our happy hour, whether or not it's a fad diet or whether or not it's a lifestyle, that kind of thing. And it seemed like there's very little science. There was very little actual studies done on intermittent fasting. There's not much in the way of science to back up. It seems to work for some people. It seems to be a good thing. So finally, this past week, someone named Ethan Weiss from the University of California, San Francisco, at least I think that's what UCSF stands for, completed a study on intermittent fasting. I'll tell you what that study was. Over a 12-week period of time, he had an intermittent fasting group. They call it time-restricted eating. Their window was 12 o'clock noon, so noon to 8 p.m. they could eat what they wanted. And then in those off hours, they couldn't eat, right? So assuming water or black coffee, whatever it is that you can drink or whatever is allowable in those off hours. But in addition to doing that, they had a control group. And the control group, they called it continuous meal timing, which was the CMT group, which is basically, I guess you could eat what you wanted when you wanted. Obviously, people know they're in a study. They're in a study for weight loss, so they're going to try to still continue to lose weight, but they're doing it under less restrictions than the time-restricted eating intermittent fasting group. Got it? They did the study for 12 weeks. Now, after 12 weeks, the time-restricted eating group, so the intermittent fasters, they lost an average of 0.94 kilograms. And now you're saying to yourself, that is great. Wow, they're losing weight. On average, they're losing weight. Yeah, it's only a kilogram, but that's positive test. And you'd be right. It's nice that people lost weight. I mean, it's nice that they're going the right direction. However, now we get to the control group, and this is where it kind of gets a little hairy for 2 reasons. Number one, the control group itself lost 0.68 kilograms over those 12 weeks. And the way the scientists put it was when you look at the graphs, in order to see the difference between the 0.94 kilograms in the intermittent fasters and the 0.68 kilograms of the continuous meal timing people, you really kind of have to squint your eyes. You really have to really try to find that difference. And in science, squinting is never good. That was their words. I kind of like that. Science, squinting is never good. So in other words, maybe it's not that effective for weight loss. It gets worse. Of the 0.94 kilograms that the intermittent fasters lost, 65% of that weight was lean muscle mass. 65%. Compare that to the control group. The control group, of the 0.68 kilograms they lost, 20 to 30% of that was lean muscle mass. The rest of it was fat. So the question is, would you rather lose 0.94 kilograms and 65% muscle of that weight, or would you rather lose 0.68 kilograms, 20 to 30% of that being muscle, and the rest of it being fat? It's not the trade-off. That's not a good trade-off for an athlete. to lose 65% muscle mass of your weight. It's just not, look, put it in perspective, 65% of the 1 kilogram that you lost. But that's still not a good trade-off. It's not acceptable. It's not going to give you good results. In the end, it's not going to make you faster. It's not going to make you stronger. It's going to make you weigh less. It'll make those hills a little bit easier probably, but you're going to lose strength because you're losing muscle. It's not a trade-off I'm willing to make now. Now, again, I'm not a dietitian. I'm not a nutritionist. I'm not prescribing anything to you. I'm trying to kind of step back and tell you this is what I am doing with my own personal training, my own personal diet. Because there are facets of the intermittent fasting that I think are pretty darn good and that lead me to good habits. And I think that they reflect in this study in the following way. Now, the window for the intermittent fasting that they could eat was from noon to 8 p.m. And the reason they did that was because they said, people sometimes eat dinner late and that having it open till 8 p.m. is a good thing. Not for me. Not for me. Typically, we eat between the hours of 4 and 6. It could be as early as 4 as, it could, on occasion, it'll be later than that. But, that's when we eat. If I am eating after 6 p.m., after dinner, I am not eating nutritious, nutrient-dense food. I am eating ice cream. I am drinking wine or beer or maybe throwing a frozen pizza in the oven or something like that. It's not going to be something good. Cookies or chips or something. It's not going to be something good and healthy and nutritious for me. It's not going to help me in training. If I'm eating at those hours, it's not good. Now, what can I do? And what sort of have I been doing over the last month? Take that window 12 to 8 and slide it back 9 to 5. What have you done? You've eliminated that bad eating, that after dinner eating. You've eliminated. Now, yes, you have to eat dinner early, and we try to eat dinner as early as we can here now to accommodate this schedule as best we can. Now you've eliminated those poor nutrient, non-nutrient dense foods, that sugar, that alcohol, that all those empty calories. And what have you added? You've kind of given yourself a license to have breakfast, which for me, typically eggs, ham, sausage, bacon, potatoes. I'll throw that in there. Sometimes breakfast potatoes, sweet potatoes. Sometimes we have in the morning. Sometimes I have a breakfast sandwich, wheat toast, things of that nature. You're replacing those foods. You're giving yourself those foods and taking away the ice cream and the booze. So net, that sounds like a pretty good deal. Not only that, but adding those foods and making those changes, could that possibly make up for the loss of lean body mass, the loss of muscle in that study, eating that extra protein in the diet in the morning hours as opposed to the bad stuff at night? It might. And I tell you what, the thing that I like about this setup and the diet and the things that I think I've learned is, it just always seems to come back to calories in, calories out, doesn't it? It always seems to come back to that in terms of weight loss. And it always seems to come back to, you want to lose enough to make it, to lose the fat, but not too much where you're losing muscle so that it's negatively affecting performance. Again, that 1 to 2 pounds per week rule that we hear from time to time. Don't lose more than 2 pounds because then you're probably losing muscle and you don't want to do that. It's going to affect your performance too. It will enhance your performance to lose weight, but if you're losing muscle too, that's going to detract from that loss. So overall, I think that's kind of what my take from that is. And, I can tell you what, I'm going to open up my habits from here and how they change, especially in regards to the study. I'm going to allow myself to open up that early morning window, especially I do want to eat after that, within that sort of 2-hour time frame after you finish a workout. So after I get off the bike at about 6:30, I'm going to try to eat before, say, 7:30. 8 o'clock, try to definitely eat within that window. And then as I get towards the end of the day, we're going to try to eat an early dinner and then put the kibosh on it. Don't have the ice cream. Don't have the bad foods. Don't eat at night. I tell you, last night I was up late. I did watch the debates. We won't talk about it, but I was up till like 10:30, 11 o'clock. And I sat there drinking water out of my water bottle, my cycling bottle, and I had 1 cup of black coffee, which I think I needed to get through that. And that was that kind of kept me occupied in those hours. So I didn't eat. I think we ate dinner 5 to 5:30. After 5:30, the window came down. I didn't eat after that. I felt good in my morning ride. I rode. I jumped in the shower. I made breakfast. I ate breakfast. And again, it may not be the 16 hours. It might be a 14-hour fasting window or something like that. But I feel like that's good. And I feel like I'm still, when I'm focused on it and I'm not being a jerk and eating like a jerk, the weight goes down. The training kicks in, the weight goes down. When I eat like a jerk, the weight, it comes back. So that's kind of like the lessons learned. That's the outtakes I'm taking from the Ethan Weiss study from USCF. I would like that. I would like to see them redo the study and change the hours to 9 to 5. I do think, I don't know, again, not a dietitian. I do think that in general, that would open up that early morning window and give you more protein and give you more, and restrict that loss of lean body mass. I would love to see that. Maybe he'll do another one. I don't know. I'm sure he's not taking my advice, even though I did tweet that to him. He did like it too, so we'll see. So that's it. So tonight, we have a couple things with Ordinary Marathon, but I'm not ready to announce them quite yet. I think we're going to do that next week. We'll announce those things next week. Yeah, we'll do that next week. Tonight, we have our FTP test. Tune in. You can watch it live. You can watch it on YouTube. See how I do. Again, we're gunning. I got to tell you, I would love to see 240, 245. A repeat of that 245 day would be phenomenal. I really just want to do a little bit better than that 233 from Monday night, though. I really just want to get better. I think I had more to give. And I want to see what I can do. We'll see how that works. I am going to get Danielle and Mike Rosevalley on the podcast soon. I haven't been able to schedule because my schedule has been just ridiculous lately. But that's going to be one of our next guest shows. Don't know about happy hour this week. We were gonna try to bring somebody in, and it kind of got a little hairy, and I don't think we're gonna be able to get somebody in. And I think now, at this point in time, I don't know if I want to try to get somebody new. I had someone lined up. I think we're going to hold off, but we're going to bring the happy hour back in the next coming week. So keep an eye out for that. And remember, every day is an ordinary day unless you make it extraordinary. So get after it, guys.